Almost every day of your life, you use money. But it's worth stopping to ask a question that most people never do. What actually makes one form of money better than another? Because money isn't just paper or metal or numbers on a screen. Money is a technology, and a technology with a specific job to do. And like any technology, some versions do that job well, and others do that job poorly. So in the next 9 minutes, I'm going to give you a simple checklist to use to evaluate any form of money. And we're going to evaluate 3 different monies, the dollar, gold, and Bitcoin, against this criteria. And by the end, you'll be able to make up your own mind about which is the best money. Money really has one core job: to carry value across time and space, so that the money you earn today can be safely stored and spent days, weeks, months, or even years from now. And you can move it wherever you go or wherever you need to spend it. To do that job well, money needs a handful of key properties. It needs to be scarce so it holds its value. It needs to be divisible so you can make change. It needs to be portable so you can move it. It needs to be durable so it lasts. It needs to be verifiable so that you can trust that it's real. And it needs to be fungible so that each unit of the money is interchangeable. And finally, and perhaps most important, it needs to be resistant to censorship and tampering so that no one can quietly take it from you or alter the record. That's our checklist. Now let's grade each of these 3 monies, one property at a time. Let's start with a big one: scarcity. Gold is genuinely scarce, but gold miners are still mining every single year, and they're adding about 1 to 2% to the supply every year. The dollar is not scarce at all. As we've seen, the US government can print dollars at will, and the money supply of dollars has grown enormously over the years. But Bitcoin took a different path entirely. It has a true fixed supply. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. That limit is fixed in the code, and every Bitcoin user enforces it. On scarcity, Bitcoin stands alone. Next is divisibility. The dollar is divisible. $1 divides into 100 cents. But gold is the problem, because try shaving off $10 worth of gold from this gold bar to buy yourself a burger. And Bitcoin is divisible. Each Bitcoin can be divided into 100 million Satoshis, so it works whether you're moving a fortune or just a few cents. Next is portability. Gold can be moved, but it's slow, heavy, and expensive. Dollars can move easily, but through banks and payment networks that can slow you down or say no to a transaction. Bitcoin can move across the planet in minutes with no permission required. Durability. This is where gold shines, literally. It's designed not to rust or rot, which is why it survived as money for thousands of years. Paper money wears out and depends on the institutions behind it. But Bitcoin is pure data, and it's as durable as the massive decentralized network that supports it. Verifiability. Counterfeit dollar bills and counterfeit gold bars are a real thing. There are counterfeit gold bars and coins circulating that are actually tungsten plated in gold, and specialized equipment is required to verify these to confirm that they're actually real. But with Bitcoin, you can run your own node and validate your transactions on the blockchain so you can verify for yourself that your Bitcoin is real. 2 more to go. The first one is fungibility, and this is a word we don't use very often, but the definition of fungibility is pretty simple. It means that each unit of the money is freely interchangeable with every other unit. So for example, each dollar bill is freely exchangeable and worth the same amount as every other dollar bill. For fungibility, all 3 of our monies get a pass. Each dollar is interchangeable with any other dollar. An ounce of gold is interchangeable with another ounce of gold, and 1 Satoshi or 1 Bitcoin is interchangeable with any other Satoshi or Bitcoin. So for fungibility, none of these 3 monies really wins or loses. And finally, the one that ties everything together is censorship resistance. This is how hard it is for any person or entity to block a transaction or change the record. A bank can freeze a dollar account or reverse a transaction. Gold can be seized or confiscated. Bitcoin is different. Once a transaction has settled on the blockchain, it's final. It can't be reversed. No one can block a transaction or change the ledger. That last part surprises people. And let's walk through how Bitcoin mining makes this possible. Bitcoin has no company and no central bank controlling it. So the question is, who validates the transactions and maintains the ledger? And the answer is the Bitcoin miners. Miners gather up pending transactions and form them into a block, and then they compete to mine that block and add it to the blockchain. To win that block, they need to spend real-world energy to solve a mathematical puzzle. It's a lot of computational work, and that's the whole point. That's why Bitcoin is known as a proof-of-work network. The miner that mines the block and adds it to the blockchain earns what's known as the block reward, which is newly mined Bitcoin. They also earn Bitcoin from fees that are attached to every single transaction. That block reward is how new Bitcoin enters the world, and it's on a schedule. Roughly every 4 years, that block reward gets cut in half. This halving is what carries Bitcoin to its ultimate supply of 21 million coins and no more. And this is exactly what makes Bitcoin transactions tamper resistant, because each block is built on all the energy that was spent before it. Rewriting the Bitcoin blockchain would require redoing all of that work and outspending everybody else who's honestly trying to build upon the chain. That's wildly expensive, and that's why a settled transaction is virtually impossible to reverse. The deeper a transaction sits on the blockchain, the more locked in that transaction is. And the system autocorrects. If more miners join the network and blocks start coming in too fast, the puzzle gets automatically harder to keep the blocks coming in on pace. Mining is what turns Bitcoin's scarcity and censorship resistance from promises into physical facts, enforced by energy, not by trust. So let's look at the finished scorecard, and I want to be fair here because the dollar and gold both have their strengths. The dollar wins on something that Bitcoin can't match, at least not yet. As the reserve currency, it's accepted around the world for almost any transaction. And gold has a 5,000-year track record, a level of trust that only time can build. But step back and look at the whole picture. Gold is scarce, but hard to move and divide. The dollar is easy to use, but its supply has no limit. Bitcoin is the first form of money that scores well across all of these categories. And it's the only one that's absolutely scarce and enforces its own rules without needing to trust in any third party. Here's how I think about it. Gold was the best money for a physical world, but the future is digital. And Bitcoin is what money looks like when it's designed from the ground up for a digital world. This doesn't mean that Bitcoin is the best money for everybody in the world for every single transaction. It's still relatively new at 17 years old, and it's still finding its place. But if you're thinking ahead and thinking in decades about your life savings and about your retirement, it's important to consider the qualities of the money that you're saving in. And it's important to think into the future about, as we're moving from a physical world to a digital world, which money is really going to be best. That's exactly the lens that I built this channel around. So if you like this content, hit subscribe because I'm putting out similar content every single week. And comment below about what topic you'd like me to cover next. Until next time, I'm Michael, this is Betirement, and I'll catch you in the next video.